the pilgrimage to Mecca. People knew that he was getting older and getting weaker, and therefore they knew that this may be the last chance that they would have to make the pilgrimage with him. And so we see a gathering of Muslims making the Hajj along with the Prophet, probably the largest number of Muslims that he ever saw in his whole life. And there they were going through the different rituals of the Hajj, and the Prophet made his farewell sermon from the Mount of Mercy on the plain of Arafat. And then once the Hajj was over, people began to disperse and to make their way back from Mecca. A short way outside Mecca, there is an oasis called Qaryah Khum. And this is a place where the road divides. So for the first time, some of those Muslims who had made the Hajj along with the Prophet started to separate and go on the other road. And at this time, Angel Gabriel appeared to the Prophet to give him a crucial revelation. Gabriel said to him, "You are to reveal to the people, you are to communicate that without which it is as though you have done nothing. That without which it is as though you have done nothing." Now, what on earth can this be? Because almost the entire Quran has been revealed by this time. The Prophet has put into practice all the essential elements of living a Muslim life, the rituals of prayer and of fasting and of pilgrimage. He has laid down guidance and teaching and interpreted the Quran to the people. What on earth can it be at this final last-minute stage that Gabriel can say, you are to convey to the people that without which it is as though you have done nothing? Well, we need to follow through and see what happens, because the Prophet calls the community traveling together to a halt, sends on people after those who've already left and calls them to come back and return. He then gets a high place built so that they are piling together camel saddles and so on, and making a stand so that the Prophet can be seen and can be heard by the largest number of people. Now, this is obviously a crucial moment in the history of Islam because of the importance of that revelation, that without which it is as though you have done nothing. So the Prophet mounts up onto this high place. The people who have gone on ahead have been called back. They are all waiting in expectation to see what would happen. And the Prophet calls to him Ali. He calls him to stand beside him. And then we're told he raises his arm, he raises his hand, and he proclaims to the people, all those of you who take me as your Mawla, you are to take Ali as your Mawla after me. Now, Mawla here we can understand to be master and also teacher, your lead, your guide. All those of you who have taken me to be your Mawla, take Ali as your Mawla after me. Now, the Shia understand this to be the final designation by the Prophet that Ali is to be his successor. And remember that we have probably the largest gathering of Muslims that the Prophet ever saw in his lifetime. And he tells them that they are to pass on this message to others, and they are to give it to those who are not present so that everybody can receive this message. Remember the verse of the Quran that tells us, when God and his messenger decide upon a thing, the faithful man or woman has no choice but to obey. And so here we have the Prophet designating Ali as his Mawla after him. The Prophet speaks not of his own will, but only by the will of God. So therefore we can see that the Shia community understand this to be God instructing the Prophet, speaking through the Prophet, to designate Ali as his successor in front of this whole assembly of people. Therefore we can see the importance of this moment. But it goes on, because we're told that it was at this occasion, at this time, that the prophet gave that hadith of the two most precious things. I leave after me two most precious things, the Quran and the Ahl al-Bayt. Never shall they separate until they reach me at the pool of the gates of heaven. Now, the Ahl al-Bayt, of course, are the holy household of the Prophet, those who were most thoroughly purified and designated by God to be the guides of the community into the future. Never shall they separate. My understanding of this is it's like laying down a railway track. Now, a railway track has two rails. If those rails separate, the train cannot run. If only one rail is present, the train cannot run. You need two rails. They must be exactly parallel, and they must go on until the end of times in paradise. The Quran and the Ahl al-Bayt. This is how this statement is to be understood. And then we're told that the final verse of the Quran is revealed on this occasion. Today I have completed your religion. Now we can see the absolute centrality of Khadir Khum in the life and the understanding, not just of the Shia community, but for the whole Muslim community. Because here we have the largest gathering of Muslims that the Prophet ever saw. We hear him proclaim that Ali is his Mawla after him. We hear the hadith of the two most precious things. Never shall they separate. And therefore, the life of the community from the time of the death of the Prophet onwards is to run on the two twin rails of the railway track, the Quran and the Ahl al-Bayt. Never shall they separate until they come to the gates of heaven. And then finally, the last verse of the Quran is revealed. Today I have completed your religion. So we can understand why it is, within Shia understanding, that this is the most decisive moment in which both God and the Messenger have spoken to say that Ali is to be the successor, the first of that line of Imams who are to guide the community into the future.